Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So this is like the second video in a series that I'm going to be doing for a few more videos. I might interrupt it with another story, but it's probably going to be 4 or 5 videos in this series because this is just something that Black Brazilians have been talking about this for years. And now in the social network, social media era, they're able to get these stories out of, things that they've experienced, things that they notice, and they can get their message out or their experience out to a large quantity of people. So I talked about this a few days ago in one of the previous videos, just the idea of what it is when you see a Black person in Brazil. They must automatically be of lower class status. They must live in a favela, the lower class neighborhoods, in the surrounding areas of major cities in Brazil. They must be the help. These type of stereotypes. And with the ascension of Black people in the last 10 to 15 years, Brazilian society just does not know how to deal with Black people who don't fit into the stereotype that they're accustomed to. They're not accustomed to seeing Black folks who, they manage to get to college, get a good job, live in like luxury apartments or homes, neighborhoods. They might be managers at certain businesses or companies. And Brazilian society just doesn't know how to deal with this. I've made a number of videos over the last few months that explore this idea. I said this a few days ago. Actress Thais Araújo talked about this some months ago on a podcast. Like, Brazil doesn't know how to deal with Black people when they're on the same level as white people. Just they don't know how to deal with that. There's been a couple of videos I did where people couldn't accept that the doctor that they were going to see would be a Black person, whether they're a Black male or a Black female. And it's always a question of, excuse me, but where's the doctor? Or do you work in the kitchen? And it just doesn't cross their mind that the doctor or the dentist or whoever, the dermatologist, whoever they might be looking for, is the Black person they're talking to. And they'll have on a doctor's jacket. But just because of the stereotype in Brazil, this can't be the doctor. So give me your boss. So this is something that Brazil, Black Brazilians deal with this all the time. And this is not to make light of people who have, let's say, less prestigious jobs. I mean, a job is a job. Everybody who has a job, they're doing something that society needs for the most part. But on the other hand, why is it that Black Brazilians always have to be expected to be on the lower rungs of society? And I'll say historically, we understand why that is, because Brazil has blockaded Black entry into the middle class since the abolition of slavery. But there's always been a small segment of the Black population that has been well-to-do, that are solidly middle class. And like I said, over the last 10, 15 years, that has increased substantially from, when I first started visiting Brazil, just the things that I didn't see Black people in a lot of areas. I didn't see a lot of Black people in cars. I didn't see a lot of Black people in the more middle-class neighborhoods, but that has changed dramatically in the last decade and a half. So I don't know who this woman is who I found in this Instagram video, but it's courtesy of a podcast. And I'm summing up what she's saying. In Brazil, when a Black person has a luxury car or apartment, he or she must automatically be the help. Okay, I'm quite sure that headline tells you everything you need to know, but I'm going to get a little bit further into this and put this, as I always do, put this into more context, because this is within a couple of days, I had seen a number of people making videos talking about this very fact. So let's get into this real quick. Before I do make sure that you like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the notification bell. So with that said, let's get into the video for today. Okay, so this is the woman whose video I'm going to be reacting to today. I don't know what her name is. The podcast is called Pode Sonhar. And it's kind of like how can I put this? Pod comes from the word podcast, but in Portuguese, the word pode or pode means can, and then the word sonhar means to dream. So basically, the podcast is called You Can Dream. Okay. So I just talked about this, the stereotype of Black Brazilians, what type of jobs they're supposed to have, what type of neighborhoods they're supposed to live in. And if they don't fit that stereotype, Brazil doesn't know how to deal with it, because Brazil does not accept successful Black people. I mean, there's probably hundreds of thousands of stories that I could share that talk about this, from just, the mainstream news reports, journals on TV, or just everyday social network commentary that people make on their Instagram, Facebook, or wherever it might be, increasingly on YouTube as well. Then I have to get into, again, the idea of the social elevator versus the service elevator. I've talked about that in a number of videos. I'm going to talk about it again today. So what was said, let me go ahead and talk about what this woman had to say in the video, because it's intriguing. It speaks just volumes to the experiences that Black Brazilians are having. Then later on, I'm going to go through some of the comments that people were making about this video. So for now, let me just go ahead and overdub what this woman had to say. The Black man driving a luxury car, what do you think he is? Do you think he's the owner of the car or the chauffeur of someone white who's the owner of the car? How do we think that a Black person who enters a luxury building has to go through the service elevator? How do people who work automatically say, no, 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 your elevator is the other one? Or residents look and say, but do you live here? But how did you buy this apartment? You only have to look at many reports, for example, of realtors. When they see a photo of a Black person on WhatsApp, they cancel the presentation of the luxury apartment. The hole is much deeper, people. Okay, so let's go through what she's talking about. I mean, just, I think everything she said, I think you get what she's saying. When people see a Black man driving what they call a luxury car, because in Brazil, or just like, everywhere, you'll find cars that are lower priced. They're cheaper, they're less prestigious, and you have the cars that cost a bit, it causes you to dig a little bit deeper in your bank account or take out a bigger loan. So a Black man driving a luxury car in Brazil, people are expected that he's going to be the chauffeur of the rich white person who he's driving around. It can't possibly be the Black man or woman's car. It must be somebody white who owns the car. A Black man or woman who enters into a luxury apartment, they're usually, many times, are going to be directed to the service elevator instead of the social elevator. And as I've explained before, social elevators are for people who live there. They're for the guests of people who live there, who are there visiting. The service elevator, on the other hand, is the elevator that the help is expected to use. People who are the cleaners, the janitors, the cooks, the maids, or the chauffeurs, whoever they might be. Black people, just because of being Black, they're expected to use the service elevator. Now, this is another sign that I've talked about. Brazil has always said we've never had legalized segregation in the country. And I agree with that. You can't really find any laws, but socially it's been accepted. When you go into an apartment building and people automatically steer you to the service elevator, that's a type of segregation. There's been a number of stories that I've shared on the blog and on the YouTube channel that talks about this idea that they're Black, so they must go over to that side over there. You must be the help. You can't possibly live here. So no, your elevator is the other one. You can't go up in the social elevator. That's for the residents here, or the friends of the residents. Always a question of Black man or woman enter into an apartment is like a question, do you live here? But how can you afford this apartment? So this isn't just something that I'm just making up, because this, as I said, I saw enough of these videos this week to say this is a common occurrence, a common experience for a lot of Black Brazilians. Look at the last example she said. Now, everybody in Brazil uses WhatsApp. It's not as common as you'll find in you won't find WhatsApp, as far as I remember. You don't find as many people using WhatsApp in the United States, but in Brazil, it's common. Businesses use it. Everyday people use it. You drive through Sao Paulo and you see somebody's phone number with the WhatsApp symbol right next to it, because WhatsApp, everybody uses it in Brazil. So she's saying a realtor gets these leads, and she's supposed to be showing an apartment, a luxury apartment, to a person, with the goal of selling this apartment. They see a Black person's picture pop up on the screen and they automatically cancel presenting this apartment, because the theory is, if they're Black, they can't afford this apartment that I'm going to be showing. So there's no necessity for me to even show up and show this apartment to a Black person, because it's not going to lead to a sale, because obviously a Black person can't afford this. So this is every day. People talk about this all the time. If you keep up what Black Brazilians are saying on Instagram, you see constantly people, one time or another, are making this, they're venting about how people can't accept the fact of who they are. Well, they have a nice car, a nice apartment, they're a doctor, they're a lawyer, whoever they might be. Like, this can't be, you're Black. How can you afford to live in this neighborhood? So what do people say in the comment section? That's why I want to go through this real quick, because the comments are just as important as the material itself. So let's just go through this real quick. The first comment says, I've been barred at the entrance to the condominium where I lived told I had to have a badge and enter through the service provider's turnstile, again, being pointed to the service elevator. I've gone into a store to buy a car, and the salesman only started showing me better cars when a saleswoman who had already seen me told him I was a great customer. The hole isn't even deeper. The hole is eternal and bottomless, this person says. Second comment. I'm a teacher, and believe me, I had to prove that I had a degree, because when a student's father found out that I was a teacher, I'm not sure if it's teacher or professor, didn't really specify, he went to the principal's office to ask for proof that I was really capable. I took a deep breath, and in the end, he said it wasn't because I was a person of color. Asking for credentials, that's another way of dismeaning somebody's credentials, automatically assuming because this person is Black. Third comment, I'm an architect, and every time the work is done in a condominium, I go prepared for the bureaucracy, to face the stairs and the elevator, to be identified 1,000 times, even with authorized entry and documents. What do you mean you're the architect? Is the question this person often will get. Fourth comment says, this is very real. Is this your car? Is this your hairdressing salon or your beauty salon? Do you own your own house? What do you mean? People generally shocked to find Black people in areas where Black people are not expected to be seen. Number 5, I'm a nurse, and oftentimes when I see a patient, they ask to speak to the nurse in charge. And I say, it's me. They're usually left speechless. Other times they come in saying, can I speak to your nurse? So in this case, as I used to work very closely with nurses some years ago, I know there's always a nurse in charge. And so then they'll run into a Black nurse and assume that she must have it. Of course, everybody has a higher up, but the lead nurse in charge, and they won't accept, okay, you're Black, you must have somebody who's leading you. 6th comment, there's no such thing as racism. Let's stop whining. Calm down, people. The phrase is usually uttered by blind or ill-intentioned people. Racism is perverse, sick, the fruit of the evil minds of people willing to maintain an illusory power relationship. We're not going to back down. We're going to go further and further. The world has always changed, and it's not going to be any different now. They're going to have to swallow us up, and soon we're going to dominate everything. I'm not talking about left or right. I'm talking about Black people like me, who don't beg for opportunities, who are tireless, who don't lower their heads to those who are perverse, who know that the difference is not intellectual, but ethnic, economic, and social. My brothers and sisters, don't stop. We can't stop. We are paving the road for generations to come. So this guy or female is looking at this whole situation like, look, let's keep it moving. This is our experience every day. People not expecting or accepting who we are and that we've made it in society. They don't want to deal with that, but we're not going to hold our heads down. We're going to keep on pushing. So obviously a lot of people, I could have read more comments. You'll see comments like this all the time and people sharing their common experiences. So this isn't, like I said, this is not an isolated incident. People hear about this all the time and people experience this all the time. This article from 2015, driving while Black. University student aggressively arrested by military police as a suspect of stealing his own car. What else needs to be said there? I'm sure other people have experienced that. 15-year-old physically beaten by security in a Rio de Janeiro mall after accusations of theft. No stolen product was found. So mother consoles son who was assaulted by security guards after he was accused of theft. They didn't find anything in the guy in the young 15-year-old boy's bag. He didn't steal anything, but he's Black. He must have stolen something, right? Let me check your bag. This is a story I've talked about a lot of times recently. Get Out Monkey. In Sao Paulo, comedian musician Eddie Jr. leaves his apartment after racist attack. Incident triggers protest in front of apartment. So this lady was, I know where Baja Funda was or is. I live 10 minutes away from Baja Funda when I lived in Sao Paulo. So this is the comedian musician Eddie Jr. And this woman was harassing him, shouting at him, calling him monkey. Obviously, she was bothered by his presence. Like, how could this Black person live in this apartment where I live? I'm not going to tolerate that. Constantly at his door, just messing with him, threatening him. She comes to his house, she's looks like in the garage of the building, screaming at him, yelling racist insults. She calls her son. Her son is seen outside the guy's apartment with a knife. Another time, I think this story said that he was outside of the guy's apartment with a broken bottle. Now, from what I understand, I might have to update this story. I think the woman was recently told she has to go find somewhere else to live. And this was months ago. I think this might have been last year when this story happened. So again, these are not isolated incidents. What are you blacks doing here? 3 black men beaten in electroshock by security, how racism works in Brazil. Numerous stories in this particular article. Again, black people being approached or denied entry into the apartments where they live because the white residents don't believe they live there, or they believe they must be the help, so they should go in through, the service elevator. Student suffers racism within the building in Salvador Bahia. Of course, Salvador, northeastern Brazil, state of Bahia, the African cultural center of the country, and a country in a state that I would say is only 20% black, 20% white. But yet they can't expect, when they see black people in luxury apartments, they must be the help there, or they're up to no good. Can you imagine? You work, you earn your position in life, and then people can't deal with you living there because they believe that you're beneath them. Well, how could this black afford to live here? Again, a famous story from 1993. A mother and son couple in this luxury apartment, they beat up this black girl because she was talking to a friend on another floor in the elevator, and the elevator wasn't going down. So when she came down and they saw what she looked like, they were looking at her like, what is this niguinha? What is this little N-word girl doing here? You're the service. You're supposed to be in the service elevator. They physically assaulted this girl, not knowing she was the daughter of the governor, the black governor of the state of, I believe it was Espírito Santo in the southeast of Brazil. Mess with the wrong girl. So this is what I'm saying. And you'll notice that this girl is also light skinned. So what I'm saying is a lot of people make this difference between black and brown. Brown meaning mixed. It could just mean brown. And this woman has light skin, but they still, from her face and from her look, they associated her with lower class. Like, what are you doing in this apartment building if you're not working here? Right? In another episode of elevator racism, delivery man is prevented from using the building's social elevator by a resident. This black guy is making a delivery at an apartment building. So he's going up to the customer's apartment, or he's trying to, and this white woman impedes him from getting on the social elevator. Again, you're supposed to be the service person. No, he has the right to get onto that apartment, to get onto that elevator just as much as you do. But again, he's impeded because it's assumed that this black guy, this niguinho, this little black kid is not supposed to be here. And as I said, he's there taking care of business. He's not he's not he's not the cook. And I'm not even regardless of the position of what the job that somebody holds. This is a kind of segregation that happens in Brazil to say these people go here and those people go there. So we don't have legalized segregation in Brazil, but we have socially accepted segregation. So I wanted to break down. This is slowly being eliminated from Brazil, but this is what this article says. A law prohibiting the distinction between the social elevator and the service elevator is put in force in Espírito Santo, again, a state in the southeast of Brazil. So they had to ban this. As you can see, a social elevator and a service elevator. The help is supposed to go into this elevator. The residents and guests of the residents are supposed to be going in this elevator. Okay. So the terms social service elevator and social elevator it's been prohibited in Rio de Janeiro. So this has been a real thing for decades. It's only now that they're starting to prohibit this segregation between the social and the service. Obviously, even though it's not written in stone, it's apparent that the social elevator is for people who are considered white and rich, whereas the service elevator is supposed to be for black and poor. No, it's not actually written, but socially people know what this is all about. What else we have here? What profile do I fit? Racial profiling. Why are black men in vehicles suspicious? This goes back to the video that I just reacted over. Okay, so a black man can't have a nice car. If a black man has a nice car, he's suspicious. We need to pull him over and ask for his credentials to understand how he can afford to have a nice car. We have a black doctor here. Like people, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to be served by a black doctor. Are you really a doctor? Where are your credentials? Happens all the time in Brazil. So I'm saying this to people who visit Brazil. I'm just saying, whether this happens to you or not, there's thousands of people talking about this. You know, when I react to videos and stories like this, it reminds me of this song by Mos Def. I think it came out in either 99 or 2000. It was called Mr. N-Word, Mr. Ninja, if you will. And you know, the song is that whole song speaks volumes to what I'm talking about in this video. You know, it's like uh if white boys doing it, you know, it's success. If I start doing it, then it's suspect. And this is what the point here is. A black man with a nice car, that's suspicious. We have to pull him over. That whole song fits perfectly to what's going on in Brazil. It, you know, just from the stories that I've read, the price of success for black Brazilians, career ascension is not a shield against racism. And these are just some stories. Whether it was the former one of the, I think he was the first black mayor of Sao Paulo, you know, the economic engine of Brazil, which is basically Brazil's New York. You know, the Supreme, the how can we say he was the head of the Supreme Court in Brazil, dark-skinned black man. Benedita da Silva. I mean, she's involved in another racist incident right now for something somebody called her. Then you have Maju, who was a popular journalist there. All of these people have, you know, had their incidents with racism because Brazilian society can't accept black people in the roles that they're holding down. Okay. And then to close this out, in many Brazilian apartments, the elevators are a place where social, racial discrimination occurs. This photo is from the Jornal do Brasil newspaper from December 4th, 1988. So you see the black woman, she's getting on the service elevator, and then the white woman to the left of her, she's getting on the social elevator. So something that goes on in Brazil all the time. You're black going into a nice apartment, it's automatically assumed that you're supposed to go in through the service elevator. So anyway, just wanted to drop this short video for you today. What did you think about today's video? I have more that's coming up along this same topic, but it's intriguing, some of the stuff that I'm finding. Anyway, let's start a conversation on this. Drop a comment in the comment section, like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel if you've seen more than a few videos that you liked here, and click on the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. And with that said, I'm going to end this video here and ask that you all come back, check out the next video that I post.